Hello, this is Steve Shank. With the economy, and particularly with food, we are in the eye of a perfect storm. Just recently, as the result of one of the largest earthquakes in recorded history, and the ensuing tidal wave, the entire economy and industry of a country, Japan, have been virtually destroyed. But the Japanese tragedy is just the latest shock pointing to the importance of food. The perfect storm that I'm referring to is circulating the issue of food and food availability here in America. If you track oil and food prices over the last 5 years, you'll find that the graph is identical. And right now our gas prices are helping to drive food costs to record heights. If you have any understanding of the ethanol subsidies and the insanity of literally putting our food in our fuel tanks, ethanol has just reached its 30-month high and is driving fuel and food costs even higher than previous all-time highs. The huge population countries of India and China are buying up American unprotected exports from commodities investors. That's our food they're shipping out of here. The U.S. dollar is following its predicted path of falling, and as a result, it's inflating food prices again astronomically. And oddly enough, our food is being sold to deal with unfavorable international trade deficits of America. You have to understand, we are experiencing the greatest explosion in food shortages and food prices America has ever seen. Today, I'm sounding the alarm about this disastrous food-based economic crash. As food prices continue to rise, thousands and thousands of American families are unable to afford food. And it's not just the unemployed. Of the 45 million families that are on food stamps and growing, a high percentage of them are still employed and yet can't afford food. Folks, you need to tell your friends and people you love that they have to do all they can to freeze the cost and the availability of their food. The way you go about this is getting as much food as you can saved up at today's prices for the time when, no matter how well off you are, affordability will be difficult, but availability could be impossible. This information I'm sharing with you is not intended to be doom and gloom, but is intended to make you aware of the exact circumstances that every one of us is dealing with right now. I'm fortunate to be able to share this information with you from experience of close to 30 years, and my realization that the trends that I've seen coming are now here and present. I believe very strongly that the voice of warning we are raising will enable those for whom we care to bet their lives on the information we've given them, and we can bless them with fearlessness in troubled times. Thank you.
Left with Gerald Celente, and the point he made is the point I'm trying to get home. Admit we have a criminal government. Doesn't mean all the cops are criminal, the school teachers, even the bureaucrats. The system is unequitable. It's designed to bring in tyranny, and it's a bunch of insiders who got their people into the bureaucracy in the last 100 years, who have sold us out to foreign banks, and they have a religion. I mean, the globalists admit that they're post-industrializing us for our own good. They're making us poor for our own good, but then they're going to live like kings. And they are going after our First Amendment, everything. And people listening out there, you were getting into your research. They now admit this whole world government, Gerald. You were elaborating on the fact that this is a world government. Looking forward into the future, not just the near future, but out from that, how do you see this ending? Because now the rats are starting to leave the sinking ship. We're now seeing globalists like Newt Gingrich saying, get rid of Bernanke. We're now seeing polls showing the majority of people want to get rid of the Fed. Looks like this ruling class that controls the political class of whores is in trouble.
Well, to an extent, but remember, the game is rigged and they're running the game. I mean, to me, the only outside shot is a Ron Paul. And, I was on, he's one of the people I like to be on a lot with is Judge Andrew Napolitano, and on Fox. And he told me one of the most successful shows he had was when he had Ron Paul and Ralph Nader on, talking about a progressive libertarian party. progressive in the terms of foods, like you mentioned, e-foods, and they're clean food. And by the way, you know, I coined that term clean food in 1993. So yeah, I'm concerned about what I eat. You know, I'm concerned about the environment and the water. And yet I'm with Ron Paul on the other end. I don't want my money going overseas. You know, I love this Hillary Clinton. She's a real sport with our dough. She just told Japan, we'll help them out too. They go around and give our money to everybody. We just gave Israel some more money for their missile defense system. I'm sick and tired of these people telling me where my money has to go.
By the way, they're going to make the Japanese people pay for Tokyo Electric and General Electric, even though the General Electric's own engineers quit 30-something years ago when they built those. So General Electric, Tokyo Electric, they don't have to pay nothing. The Japanese people, they're going to pay.
And we'll pay, because she's already donated some of our money. So what I'm saying is that the only way out, to answer your question to me, is a third party. Because this isn't democracy in America. You know, they don't represent us. And you talked about the cops. You know, 2 weeks ago, I got 2 tickets, one on a Saturday night and one on a Sunday. And yeah, this kid, you know, he was groomed to be a perfect young Nazi, you know.
Oh, no, they're crawling all over everything, but then won't respond to real crime now.
Exactly. So they become the police have become the enforcers for the crime bosses. You haven't seen one head roll on Wall Street. So what I say to the police, and I know a number of them, do what's right morally. Not what your corrupt boss who's tied into the politicians is telling you to do to bring more revenue in because taxes are going down. Do what's right morally. And to me, Alex, that's the only way out of all of these problems.
Well, no amount of taxes. I mean, just a few years ago, I'd drive to work and I'd see 5 cops. Now, I might see 20. I mean, they are feeding on us, and they're pulling people over for going 1 mile over the speed limit now.
I know. I'm saying, you know, I don't want to go out at night anymore. You know, I have one drink and will they be after me? You know, meanwhile, as I said, the real criminals, like try Congress, they get off with a slap. How about that guy, Charlie Wrangler? Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember all the stuff that he got caught doing? How about all these people like Daschle and Geithner who never pay their taxes? Oh, they get caught. They say, oh, you know, I made a mistake. You or I get caught. Boy, we're doing hard time for a long time.
Yeah,
so,
Gerald,
again,
give us your website.
We need a new third party.
Give folks your website again.
Trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com. And we just came out yesterday with the spring issue. It's one that you shouldn't miss. It's a collector's piece.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Hello, America. More than 5 years ago, I started warning Americans about the unsustainable path that our government was leading us down under George W. Bush. Again, I told you 3 years ago, and every economic expert laughed me off. Everybody's still talking about signs of our recovery, but today history was made because the thing that would never ever happen took place. The S&P just lowered a U.S. outlook to negative. What does that mean? Well, it used to be stable because America was a stable country. If you go out and get your credit card and you're paying, let's say, 12% interest, and you start to look unstable, you look like you can't pay your bills. Do they raise or lower your interest rates? Does it make it easier or harder for you to get a loan? This is what happened to our country today that everyone has said to me for the last 3 years can never happen. I said it would happen when George Bush was in office. You could only see it coming because it's there. It's the way math is math. I remember having the discussion with you in 2007 about ethanol. 2007, I asked you, how is burning our food supply a good idea? I predicted at the time that we would be hated around the world because people would starve to death so we could have fuel for our cars. Again, I was a fearmonger. At the bottom of the hour, I want the media to report on the fearmongering of the head of the World Bank, who now says we are one world shock away, like an earthquake in Japan, from a global crisis and food prices skyrocketing. And they are skyrocketing. Food prices, let me show you this. Remember, they said last fall, don't listen to Glenn Beck. He's telling you crazy things like store food. Food prices in the last 30 days have gone up almost 1%. Coffee in a year has gone up 3.5%. In a year, meat 7%. Dairy 15% in 30 days. Wheat 3 times, gone up 3 times in 2 years. Corn 100% increase in 6 months. Don't listen to crazy people telling you maybe you should have a little extra on hand. The 912 Super Seniors, we asked them right before Christmas, will you please just go in, because they're telling you no inflation exists. Well, how is that possible? So will you please go into the grocery stores? Well, here's what they found. The price since the 21st of December last year. Ground beef has gone up 11% in your grocery store. 6.6% increase in milk. And cheese, 12%. Now, all 3 of these have something in common. Cows. What do cows eat?
Centers nearby, and upon checking out, the gal asked me what I was doing with so much food, and I said, there's an economic collapse coming to this country. Plan now. And she laughed. She actually thought that was funny. Here's the point. There are people out there that we can't help and don't want to help themselves. But as for the rest of us, buy storable food now. It remains cheap at this very moment in time, despite the meteoric rise in price of wheat, up 54% since June. Sugar's up 114%, and corn is up 79%, along with most other commodities, including silver. Buy food now for storage. This instant. Go tonight, tomorrow. Buy food in any amount you are able to buy it. Just as silver was cheap 1 year ago at $14.32 an ounce, food is cheap today compared to what it will cost 1 year hence, and perhaps...
Do you have any food reserves in your home right now? How long could you provide food for your family if the food supply was cut off? A month? A week? 3 days? Wouldn't you feel better if you had the necessary reserves? Have you ever noticed that the more advanced we get, the less prepared we are? Many things that defined life only 100 years ago are so convenient today that we don't really think about what would happen if that convenience were gone. Consider how we get our food. We just go down to the grocery store and grab a few things. But what if something happened that interrupted the food supply to the store? How long would it take for the shelves to be wiped out? What would you do? How long could you and your family survive? You know, for all the other important things in our lives, we have a variety of professionals, from mechanics to doctors, to help cover our bases. Why don't we also have a food professional? Food is our greatest dependency. Yet most of us find ourselves unprepared for the uncertainties that lie ahead. Why take chances? Why not do something about it? You've already taken the first step. Keep moving forward with this tour, and we can help you put a plan together and even show you how to get your food for free.